So I speedran every town in expert mode so you can see each town's inventory. So for this video, we're just going to go over the weapons and equipment, and then in a follow-up video, I'll go over all the items because each town has different usable items. So to start, let's go to ORV Harbor. So I can just hit X to show you. So I'll show the location. So here's the location. This is like the starting harbor. So here's what you can get. So you can get the Unwavering Spear and the Runic Sword. Unwavering Spear, I think, is an immediate buy. That's the first item you should buy in the game, so that can help you deal with thieves and griffins in future chapters. As soon as you get it, there's a thief chapter, and then shortly after, there's griffins in the following chapter. So you generally want to grab this thing. Runic Sword is great to throw on Elaine, Joseph, any sword units to allow them to penetrate armor, because it gives you 150 magic potency magical attack. So those are some pretty good early buys. For the next village, so this is after the archer quest, Coquillage Town. All right, Coquillage Town. Crushing Axe, Vitality Talisman, some shields, bronze circlet bangle. Definitely not something that really matters. You get a Crushing Axe from the one guy, so kind of not the best item there, but it's whatever. Some of these towns are gonna have bad items. All right, Ville Harbor. So as you go down south in the game and you beat these missions, you will unlock this pretty quickly. Viper Fang, you do get a Viper Fang for beating the archer map, so you typically don't need to buy it. Warrior's Medallion's probably the only thing you'd really buy from here, maybe recruit weapons if you really need them. Treas Village, this is from the, here, let's actually travel to some of these for fun. So this is from the Angel quest, right? So you beat the Angel quest, and this is the one you get. So let's actually check it out. So this one, that you can buy a flame bow. You also get a flame bow. So I don't know that you really need 2 flame bows, but if you really want to run multiple archers, you can buy a second flame bow, and it's decent. I don't really recommend archer. I know some people love it, but I don't think it's that good. Hallowed Mace is decent with reheal. Grants a row of allies HP regeneration, activates at the start. So this allows them to heal, which is decent. And then this is like one of the first shops that actually has some decent items, like Blue Spectacles for accuracy plus 20, Silken Scarf for evasion plus 20, Mercenary's Eye Patch for crit plus 20, and then of course Gauntlets for guard, Brown Beret Leather Hood for magic and physical damage. So not bad. So let's go to the next one. All right, the Hamlet. So this is in the Witch's Town. So let's actually just travel to these. Some of these I want to go over some of these items, so. Okay. So, the Familiar's Choker, Sorcerer's Connection. This thing is interesting. It seems to only work on mages. I tried to use it on things like Runic Blade's Magic Attack, which is literally called Magic Attack, and disappointingly, it does not function as you would expect. So, it does not give you plus 50% magic attack on Runic Blade units or Runic Spear units. It can be used to boost other mages, and typically how you'd want to do this, how you'd want to use this, is you'd have your higher initiative mage use their active point, and then you'd have them buff another mage who has like Carnelian Pendant or something, and it can be okay. It's plus 50% magic attack, so it's a pretty big damage increase. And then the Thawing Scepter, 13 magic attack, Guard Hunter, activates after an enemy guards an attack. Attack a single enemy with magic, ignores 30% of their defense. So this has base magic potency, but it also ignores 30% of defense, giving you a little bit more damage if they have any kind of magic defense. Crude Tacit, this is decent, activates at the start of battle. It's limited, so you can only have one of these being used. Grants the user plus 20% physical attack. Great for units who are going to be attacking a lot or who need damage bonus. Powerful Call, Dancer's Bracelet, very good for just boosting something's damage, especially if you have a lot of passive points. Gambler's Coin, some people like to use this on archers and sword fighters. It's actually pretty decent. Of the two, I would say it's better on sword fighters because they actually have crit rate. So this gives crit damage, it does not give crit rate. So if you have something with crit damage, or I'm sorry, if you have something with crit rate, giving it crit damage boosts its damage up and also gives them 30% attack. So this is actually very good on sword fighters. And I'm surprised I haven't been hearing more people talk about Gambler Sword Fighter, but I guess I will be one of the earlier ones. All right, let's look at some of these other towns. Let's just run over to this town because it's right here. This is a running guide right now. We're running and we're moving. All right, the Goria Hamlet. This is the one you can fix after the witch. This is where you get Runic Spear. Very useful because 14 base magic attack as well as 150 magic potency. This is very good for killing guards and using on like a soldier utility or like a Clive or some kind of like cavalier knight or whatever. Sorcerer's Medallion is also good for mages. It just gives you magic damage. It gives you +2 magic attack, plus 10% magic attack, and then 10% crit rate. So similar to Warrior's Medallion, but for mages. This also can be used on runic weapon users to boost their magical damage because it is a magical damage weapon with a magic attack. So pretty useful. The rest is just recruit stuff, nothing too crazy. All right, we'll just travel in row. Now some of these you can't unlock, right? So for example, this one you can't get to. This one you can't get to. These unlock from beating the Scarlet mission. This you can't get to, that's a fort anyways. And this one you can't get to because it's blocked by this battle that's out of the demo. So some of these towns you can't get to. For your own reference. All right, armor. Okay, so cavalry hunter's buckler. I almost said cavalier. Cav guard gives you +1 passive points, and heavy guard if the enemy is a cav. Otherwise, it's a medium guard. So this is really good if you have to block a bunch of cavs because it can just keep repeating the block, and it's also just something you can switch to. So typically, you should just buy all of the hunter bucklers and then switch to them if it makes sense. If like your team comp blocks attacks. Some team comps just kill everything, so that's probably better. Another crude tacits for Warcry, and then some basic stuff. It's not too crazy. All right, Falcon Town. Almost sounds like a swear word. We'll say Falcon Town. All right, Battler Shield. So Battler Shield is pretty decent because it gives you damage, right? +2 physical attack. It has almost no guard at all. And the point of this is to throw on calves who do not plan on guarding, or units who do not plan on guarding, and it just boosts your damage. That's the entire point of it. And it's relatively cheap, so it's pretty decent. Surging Short Spear gets you Rampage. Now this is really only useful for debuffing certain things, so it's not really good for damage. Inflicts AP -1 to target and grants the user -50% defense. So you lower your own defense to remove an action point, and its damage is okay. The attack is just a melee attack, so this can be situationally useful if you need to deny some powerful enemy an attack, because if you get hit by a powerful attack that kills you, that is much worse than having 50% damage debuff. Now I don't know if this can be cleansed. I haven't seen a need to use this, but it is interesting because you can remove action points, so it kind of acts as like shutdown. That is in this location. We're doing the whole world tour here. All right, Nord Plage Town. So this one. This is where you get Crimson EP and your second Unwavering Spear. Having 2 Unwavering Spears can be useful. Let's say there's like 3 thieves in a row and they're not in a column, so you need multiple True Thrusts. This can be useful if you run multiple spear units. Crimson EP is actually quite good. 14 physical attack, which is on the higher side in the demo. Initiative +3, also very nice. And then attack a single enemy, inflict AP -1, but you do not debuff yourself like in the case of the other weapon. So pretty interesting sword, pretty decent. I haven't really found a need to debuff and remove things like this, but it is something you can do and it is quite good. Alright, La Crescil Town. They're gonna get me on these names, dude. These are like French or whatever names. Alright, another crude tacit for Warcry, and then a spiked hammer. Now one thing to note about the hammer, oh I have no apple ham. Oh, I don't have any warriors or griffins this playthrough. Warriors and griffins can use these, I'm fairly certain. Or maybe griffins can't. I think maybe just warriors. I think just warriors can use these. But spiked blow, physical potency, it's a 3 hit, so it's really 150 physical potency, and each hit rolls for crits. So if you're running like Lucky Coin with Mercenary's Eye Patch, you could get 40 base crit plus whatever your crit rate is. And then if you do the multi-hit on this, it could roll up to 3 crits. But basically it does 150% damage. That's the way to look at it, I would say. And then, of course, just some like standard utility. Most shops tend to sell like brown beret, leather hood, gauntlets, spectacles, scarf, and eye patch. So there's no shortage of these items. If you need like the void plus 20, hit plus 20. Hit plus 20 is also good against like thieves and griffins, so you can hit fix, so that you can actually hit them without true weapons. So something to consider. Tish Dawn Town. Alright, let's check this out. Okay, Citadel Guards, Sabatons, Guarding Impetus. So after guarding an attack, grants the user +1 AP. This is good on tanks and units who block to just give them extra attacks. Now, the actual tanks, like the soldiers, or what are they called, hoplites? I almost want to call them generals, that's Fire Emblem. The hoplites, their attacks are kind of weak, so this is not the best thing for them. It's decent. It also costs you a passive point, so blocking typically costs a passive point, and this further drains. So like if you're at 2 passive points, you block once, you lose a passive point, and then this triggers, and then you lose your other passive point, but then you gain an AP. So basically just converts a passive point into an active point, which could allow you to kill or to just get an extra attack off. So there's definitely a use case for this. I kind of don't recommend it, but there might be some like niche thing that's nice. And then Ironclad Buckler. This is actually very interesting because it gives you this. All right, first of all, look at what it costs you. It costs you an active point. That's weird. So it's a block that costs an active point. Grants the user a buff that negates one physical attack. So negating a physical attack makes it so it doesn't affect you at all. So this is quite interesting. Now, this is more like reactionary. I like to build my team comps around killing and just like dropping enemies before they can do anything to me, or shutting them down or whatever. But this could be useful in some situation. It's worth pointing out. Another crude tacit, another dancer's bracelet. There's quite a lot of dancer's bracelets and gambler's coins everywhere. So you should have no trouble finding those. All right, Listery Town, Lysair maybe. All right, he's very grateful for us. Okay, so Viper Shield, poison immunity. This is all right. There's not really too much poison in the demo, but maybe you want it, maybe you don't. Tailwind Cape. This is actually a little bit better. Quick action. Grants an ally plus 15 initiative for their next action. Cannot self-target. Activates at the start of battle. So this is really good for getting like a slower thing like a griffin to hit quickly, so that if you want to have the griffin running like damage, maybe like Carnelian Pendant, and then some damage increase or some other utility thing, the griffin itself doesn't need to worry about initiative. It can get initiative applied to it through like a utility that has a bunch of passive points. So you can like Tailwind Cape boost initiative of other allies, and then you can of course target, and only costs you 1 passive point. So this is actually very good for quickly attacking or initiative boosting something. Okay, these cannot be unlocked until after the demo, so you just have to not ever do those. All right, El's Cove Town, El's Cove Town. All right, so another Viper Fang, another familiar choker. It's the same thing. It's just duplicates. There's just some duplicates in some of these shops, so nothing crazy. Viper Fang is okay, but there's like so much of it. It doesn't seem to be like one of the best things in the game. All right, let's check this out. All right, here's where things get interesting. Acrobat Shoes, Impetus Stance. So, grants the user +1 AP and -50% attack. Now, this would matter if the unit you're using it on attacks. You could use it on a unit who just buffs people and doesn't even attack, and then uses their active points for like heal or something, like a cleric. So this is actually quite good on like these utility units. So let's check it out really quick. When I first saw that, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. this is kind of neat. Oops. I hit the wrong button. I'm used to going to party mode. All right, let's use this thing. Now I have it on a unit it's on a bad thing, or no, it's not on anyone right now. All right, so you could throw this on like a cleric, and they don't care about dealing damage. So if you throw it on like a shaman, if you throw it on like a cleric, if you throw it on someone who just like spits out buffs and their active ability is like a heal or something, like even Joseph on healing duty, you basically just get AP +1. Now it does cost you a passive point. So depending on which is more useful, but this could be pretty useful in a shaman because they have some pretty good active abilities. But it's interesting. There's probably some theory crafting to be done there. All right, and then for the other items, the White Knight's Great Shield, max HP plus 15, guard efficiency plus 50%. So it's a great shield. It gives you life share. Activates after an ally is hit by an attack. Share 50% of user's HP with ally. So this actually allows an ally to take less damage. It's almost like, I'm not sure how useful this is. It's almost like blocking. It basically is like blocking, but it's interesting because if the ally, like say the ally's getting hit with magic, and you don't want to block the magic because then you'll probably die on your hoplite. This could be interesting in that it just makes the ally more tanky without risking the hoplite for a bad matchup for blocking. So it's not terrible. And then of course there's a bunch of Baroque weapons which give accuracy plus 5 and have decent stats and are relatively cheap. Okay, the next town. Ville Harbor. Another Tailwind Cape, very useful. Then another Citadel Guards Sabatons. And then some Baroque stuff. So just duplicates of this. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have multiples, but they're quite expensive. So probably just buy one if that's all you need. My recommendation. All right, Rivier. Maybe. Another Crushing Axe. Just inflicts stun, it's unguardable. Alright, so here's a new weapon. Pheasant Bow, passive shatter. So attacks a single enemy, inflicts passive point -1. So physical potency. So this could be good for like targeting an enemy mage, for targeting some kind of like backliner, like a Radiant Knight or a Shaman that has annoying passive points you want to get rid of. So something like that. Maybe an enemy healer if the healer's giving you trouble. Now archers, I'm still on the fence on them. I don't trust. I don't trust them. All right, let's check out Saint Richtoown. All right, conveyable great shield. So this just gives you a little bit of initiative, but it has weaker defensive stats than most great shields. And then hallowed mace. This is actually pretty decent. Heal plus 10% when using active skill. This is only really useful for chip healing if you get hit from like chain assist or whatever, or like magic or ranged assist. Heal 10% when using active skill and then max HP, and then re-heal. Grant a row of allies HP regeneration, which heals them. I'm pretty sure after they get hit, or at the end of battle. I haven't used this much because I haven't needed to. I haven't saw the. This is like a reactionary thing, so I haven't needed this. But I actually prefer just to kill the enemies and then, if I have to heal, just like healing font or something, like use an item or use like herbs or whatever. I find that to be more valuable. So I haven't tested that particular item. All right, and then Sud Town. So another Vitalities, and then the Defender's Mace. Defender's Mace is quite interesting. Base passive point +1. Reduce damage taken by an ally by 50% for 1 attack. Now an attack includes like a spell, like literally anything. It's like a catch-all. So this is a 50% damage reduction for 1 passive point. It also gives you a passive point. So this is very good to put on like a cleric to allow you to tank like pretty much anything. It's quite nice. And then another Crude Tacit, Dancer's Bracelet, Gambler's Coin. You tend to see these together. I don't know why. And then Vitality Talisman, which is whatever. Not that interesting of an item. We'll go over the other shops too. Alright, Covert Town. So this is after the Plague Doctor quest, like the one girl that looks like she's gothic. So another flame bow or flame arrow. Woohoo. Here, I'll give you a woohoo. Passive Shatter, Valkyrie's Partisan. Initiative +5, very good. Attack a column of enemies, inflict passive point -1. So that's actually quite decent for utility. So it gives you a lane nuke that's weak, but it also debuffs. So if you want to remove like a block from something, which the issue is it'll probably block the backline thing. You'll just remove it from the target. But if you want to remove some passive points from some difficult to deal with enemies, this could be situationally useful. It's also not bad just for physical damage 14 and initiative +5, and then using other attacks. And then for the other items, you just have like a random assortment of standard things. All right, or Ville Town. Some of the names, man. All of the names, really. All right, Rookie Egg, Golden Egg. This is another one that unlocks from doing that same quest I just mentioned with the Gothic Green Cleric Girl. You can buy another Golden Egg for 30k, and you can get the Rookie Egg, so plus 100 XP. So very useful utilities. I don't know if these stack. It doesn't say they do or don't. They might stack. I haven't run this. I just got this second Golden Egg opportunity. But if you want to go for farming, someone wanted to know if it stacks with Plunder as well. If anyone knows, definitely drop a comment, but I haven't tested that. If Golden Egg works with Plunder, you can double Golden Egg the unit that's plundering, and that could be pretty ridiculous. So, but otherwise, like if it doesn't stack, you can just throw this on a second unit and just get more money. And if it does stack, that would be doubling your gold twice, so I think you get quad gold, wouldn't you? Pretty sure if my basic math is correct. But yeah, because like 100 gets doubled to 200, and then it gets doubled to 400. So, all right, what else do we got? Some other towns. Yeah, there's these. So these are the starting towns on the starting island. So you fix the harbor, you get the ship, and then you can take the ship over. So this town is already fixed. You can just station a guard. This town sells two interesting things. Battler's Shield, so you can get that early damage shield, and Dancer's Bracelets for that early Dancer's Bracelets. So this is pretty good for just damage fixing your team immediately for cheap. I think both of those are only 2k. And then we have the other harbor. This also has its own items. This is where you get Sanguine. Someone corrected me on that. They're like, it's Sanguine! They must have, you know, read a lot of vampire novels to know. No, I'm just kidding. They're very obsessed with Twilight. Now, all right, Sanguine attack. So 50% of the damage dealt, it restores its health. Now, if an enemy has 1 health and you hit like a 30 on it, you still get 50% of that 30. The game is very generous with that. So if you last hit something with this, it's still reasonably good. And then another conveyable Great Shield, which is just an initiative Great Shield to try to speed those tanks up, which maybe it helps. I don't know. I don't run enough Hoplite to want to know. But some recruits, some bronze, nothing crazy there. And then, of course, we have the Walled City. This is a very good town to buy things from. So, Lyrical Wand, active heal, base AP +1, so gives any cleric 2 base active points. Restore moderate health to ally, grants +1 AP. Cannot self-target. So, you can use this to give an offensive unit extra action points, and it's very good on pretty much anything, honestly. Like it's just like being able to Carnelian Pendant, and it also heals. So you get heal, you're basically transferring an AP because the heal is the same as like a normal heal. So basically what you're getting is you're getting a heal for 1 active point, and then you're transferring an active point for 1 active point. So you're just moving it to like someone who can use it better. Because typically healing is worse than just killing things because there's many sources of healing. You can heal in a fort. You can undeploy and redeploy a new unit that has full health. You can use healing items. You can use camps. There's like several ways to heal. So the real value here is just giving something an extra active point. And especially if you stack this with a Carnelian Pendant on the unit you're giving this to, they can have 3 active points, regardless of class, which is quite nice. All right, Azure Crest Shield. This is really good. Just gives you passive point +1. Is usable in most of the like light shield classes. And it has like basic shield stats that are decent. But +1 passive point means an additional block. Maybe if you're using buffs, like Dancer's Bracelets, you can Dancer's Bracelet again, because it's only per attack, so you need to Dancer's Bracelet every single attack. You can also stack it with things like Pursuance Bracelet, which gives you Pursuit. Activates after an ally attacks. Follow-up attack for 75% physical potency. So these kind of work together, especially if you throw these on Oakleys, or Oakleys. Lapis Pendant. You get enough of these that I don't think you really need to buy this here. Dove Plume, you can get one for free. I'll show you where. I know you want to know this. You can get one for free traveling to here and talking to the shaman. She joins with one. So unless you need a second Dove Plume, you really don't have to buy one. But you can buy one from here if you really want to. And then that is it for towns, but that is not it for merchants. There's also the Angel Shop. which is very important because it has some of the craziest items in the demo. So here's what you can get in the Angel Shop. You can get Howled Cornash. I mostly use these to just give myself Valor to quickly beat maps using Bull Rush, or Wild Rush. But most importantly, you can get stat boosters to boost your damage, your magical damage, your physical damage. I don't recommend getting Dew of Vitality. If you're going to get a stat booster, go for damage. For items, you can get Templar's weapons, which are physical defense +1, guard rate +5%, 15 attack. So the axe, the spear, these all just have... They're relatively cheap too. They cost you 4. So like 4 divine shards. So you can get a few of these if you really want to. I don't recommend getting too many. Templar's bow, same thing. Templar staff. Alright, then there's the Cleric cane, which is very interesting. This costs you 15. Reduce damage taken by a row of allies by 50% for 1 attack. So if you want to just have insane tanking, now it's limited. So limited means you can use it multiple times as long as the conditions are met, but you can't use it at the same time as someone else using a limited ability. So like so basically each interaction goes like this. If I use an active ability on you and you go to use protection, but something with higher initiative is using like a limited block, the limited block will go through and then protection will like stand by. But if you do not have anything interrupting this, and this is your form of defense, you could throw like a Lapis Pendant on your Cleric, and then she can protection 3 times a match. But it hits a row of allies too, so like let's say an enemy Griffin Swing is coming in, you just debuff that Griffin Swing by 50%, or whatever attack it is, and that's very useful. And it also gets even better if it's individual attacks, right? So, because it affects each ally in the row for 1 hit. So like if you get hit with individual range attacks, it's just, and like 2 different dudes get hit, for 1 passive point, you've reduced 2 enemy attacks, for example. And then Millennium Scepter, can't get this. Probably can't even use this. I don't think there's enough Divine Shards. There's some other crazy things. Templar Shield is okay. You get one of these for free from Joseph. Holy Knight Shield, Holy Guard, heal +10% when using active skill. I like it for the heal, and it has good stats. This is a light shield, this is not a heavy shield. You can use this on any of your characters, on Oakley's, whatever she's called, man. I can't remember, they don't say her name. Maybe they do. Elaine, Lex, whoever. But also, most importantly, you get Holy Guard, activates before being hit by physical attack, block enemy attack with medium guard, prevents all debuffs. This is really good on Oakley's because it gives her, or is it Oakley's? I think it's Oakley's. It's really good on her because she doesn't have a block until level 15, and this just gives her a block, and it also gives her chip healing, which is quite nice. But she can of course just evade spam too with her default items. And then for these, you can get Templar's Great Shield. It's basically just your standard Great Shield with Templar themes, we'll say. And then Grand Barris, something you can't get in this. Debuff immunity is quite nice though. Now for the items you can get, so Lapis Pendant, I don't recommend buying these. Charm of Warding, I did buy one of these, but it's only usable by like magical classes. So like Cleric, things like this already can do this effect, so it's kind of redundant, but it's good for negates the next magic attack damage dealt to an ally, also negates affliction. So it's good to throw on like a Cleric to prevent debuffs. It also should work on Shaman abilities, which are magic attacks / debuffs. So that should help you against Shamans. Carnelian, this is worth buying, I would say. Angel Plume, I bought it just to try it. Initiative +20. And then Tailwind grants a row of allies +10 initiative, affects stacks, which is crazy. Also, this is not limited, so this can be used at any time, which is fantastic. So, yeah, it activates after using a skill. So these are all, like, this is a pretty good initiative boost. People tend to run this with Griffin. And then, of course, you have other things like Holy Brooch, heal 20% using active skill. These, I don't know that you can get. I've obtained every single shard in the demo, and I also executed the guy. I don't think you can get these in the demo. Maybe you can, but some of these are cool. Initiative +6, max HP, physical, magical defense, dynamic glide, activates before being attacked, evade a hit, grants the user +20% physical attack. Now, as far as I can tell, this just permanently gives you +20% physical attack for that battle. That's kind of crazy. It's basically stacking evade plus Warcry. And then Aerial Wing, Initiative, and so it looks like similar stats, these reigns. Makes the user's next attack a true strike. It grants the user plus 20% attack if the user is at 100% HP. So that's kind of crazy. That's pretty good as well. And then this thing, I still don't think you can get this, but Quick Impetus, Initiative plus 10, base passive point plus 1. Allows an ally to act again, grants the target plus 1 AP. This is like dancing, that's kind of crazy. So that's a pretty good store. There is, of course, the Black Market, which is another store that you have to beat most of the missions in here to unlock. Basically, if you beat every mission, you'll unlock it by default, and you can only go there during the night, as far as I can tell. But we'll go visit. It's about to be nighttime. Yeah, it should be nighttime. Here, let's see if I can wait. Can I not wait? It's not. Can't wait on the overworld. So you can't get any further beyond here. This is beyond the scope of the demo up here. All right, it's nighttime. So you can't really get those towns in the center. It's very convenient. All right, this guy. So he has some interesting items that are kind of crazy. Thief Mantle, Evade. Evade a single hit. Activates before being attacked. So this just gives you the Thief's Evade ability, which is quite useful on things that are susceptible to key attacks. Now, obviously, True Strike hits through this, so keep that in mind. So if you're trying to use this on like a Griffin to dodge an arrow, that won't make any sense. You're still gonna get hit if they're gonna True Strike. And then we have the Starless Bow. So physical attack, has Shadow Arrow, attacks a single enemy, inflicts blindness. Now I'm fairly certain blindness just like causes them to miss. I haven't messed around with this or debuffs, but this might become better like later on. And then he also sells Zenorian weapons. So all these they all do the exact same thing. 14 physical attack, max HP plus 10, physical and magical defense plus 2. I don't think they're very good. Maybe on like a tank or something, but I would rather have damage. And these have lower damage. The max HP is nice. The extra tanking is nice. You could situationally run this on like a lane or someone. But keep in mind, if you switch to a higher HP weapon before a combat forecast, you will not gain that HP. You'll have to heal it first. So you'll have to actually heal or start with this if you need to tank in the beginning. Carnelian Pendant, always good. Probably should always buy these. They're just insane. Lapis Pendant, I feel like they hand you enough of that it doesn't matter. Iron Shackles is interesting. So it reduces your initiative, but you just take 5% less damage at all times. If you stack this with blocking, this is where you get huge value. So it could just reduce damage substantially. Magic Bomb, he sells 2 of these. Damages all units and traps in the area. This is very good for setting up a kill, because it's just an item. So you just throw 2 magic bombs at like a boss, and then you like wild rush it, and then you get pretty good damage on it, maybe even kill some of their back lines or their healers or their shamans or whatever before the fight even starts. And then you just drop them. Then he sells a bunch of like random things. Some people really like this thing, the Idealist Hand Mirror. You change your appearance. I mean, it's kind of neat if you want it, but I think it's a waste of money. It's basically just a waste of money. But if you want it, you can dump 30k into it. But yeah, that's it for all the towns. Let me know if I missed any. I'm pretty sure I got them all. Here are all the towns. The ones that aren't blue, I just wasn't able to fix. I think some of them require materials you can't get, or maybe I just was low on them. But I did everything quest-wise. I did all the missions. I did one of each of the trials, so that took quite a long time. Well, not really. It only took me like 3 hours to do all this. I speedran it. I'll show you the team I used to speedrun it if you're curious. This is not the best team. This was the team. This should probably be replaced with like a witch or something. Like some kind of like freeze build, or maybe like rotate this out for a griffin situationally to just like cleave enemy horses. Because enemy horses, I think a witch with, if we ran a witch, we wouldn't have horse problem, but this team kind of runs into like a horse problem sometimes. I also could just Cab Slayer and like Carnelian as well, so I could have done that. But this was the team I used to speedrun the demo with. These I would occasionally deploy. They're underleveled to sit on a base. But yeah, that's it for the items for all of the towns, the black markets, the forts, the main fort, and the angel store. Definitely like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Woohoo!